Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Onyii. If this is your first time here, so today I'm going to be sharing with you guys things I've learned in my almost 3 years of marriage. Okay, so we got married in 2019 and this is 2021, so I've always wanted to do one of these videos. So go get your snacks, your popcorn, your drinks. Let's dive right in. Okay,
you know I can't control.
so my first point is you need to be patient with your partner. Okay, you both come from different backgrounds, you grew up differently, you were raised by different people from different families, so there is no way you expect them to behave like you. Okay, I mean, even your siblings that you grew up with, you still fall out with them from time to time, so you really need to be patient with your partner. Even if both of you have been friends since childhood and maybe you've dated only each other and then you eventually get married, when you get married and start living with someone, there are things you start noticing which you didn't used to notice before while you guys were just dating. When you get married, both of you will just let your guards down because you're no longer trying to impress. You're already married to this person and the marriage is for life. So if they used to hide some things before, they won't try to hide it again, because when you got married, you've decided to accept each other the way you are. So you need to be patient with your partner. But this does not apply when you marry an outrightly wicked person. First of all, what were you doing before you married that person? That's why you need to be careful while choosing a partner. Okay, once you guys start living together, there are a lot of things both of you will have to adjust to. There are a lot of things you have to learn to accept. There are just a lot, so that's why you need to be patient with whoever it is that you marry. My next point is good communication. You need to have a good communication between you and your partner. Okay, there are arguments that wouldn't ever occur if you guys tell each other things. Like sometimes it's just a one-line sentence that you need to communicate to the other person that would eliminate the argument. Like you won't even have to quarrel about it. But if you're very secretive, you don't tell your partner things, and it always make them to misunderstand, and misunderstandings brings problems into the marriage. Okay, so you need to learn how to communicate. The fact that you are an introvert does not apply to your marriage. You need to open your mouth and talk. If you're feeling a certain type of way, you need to tell your partner. If you want them to do something in a particular way, you need to communicate with them. Whatever it is you want, your partner is not some kind of god that is supposed to read your mind and know what you want and do them. It's only when you talk it's only when you say the things in your mind that your partner will now know, okay, this is what he or she wants. Okay, I'll start doing it like this. Aside that, it's going to be really hard. Like if you don't communicate, the marriage is going to be a lot harder. Marriage is not a bed of roses, but both of you can make it a lot easier on yourselves if you communicate with each other. Okay, if you're going out, tell your partner. If you're going to stay out late, tell your partner. If something is happening or you don't like a particular thing or a particular way they do things, communicate with them so you both would be on the same page. If you communicate with your partner, both of you will be on the same page. But if you're not carrying each other along, one person will be in page 1, the next person will be in page 5, and you guys will keep clashing. That's when you start saying that marriage is very hard. Yeah, marriage is not easy. It's not easy being married, but if you now add lack of communication to how hard marriage is, it's going to be like 3 times harder than it should be. So marriage is not supposed to be very hard. So you need good communication to make things easier for you and your partner. Okay, so if you need something, you need to say. If you want something done in a particular way, you need to say. If you don't like a particular thing that is being done, you need to open your mouth. If your partner makes you angry, open your mouth and tell them. As long as they want to be with you, they are going to apologize and you guys will move on with your lives. But if you carry it in your mind, you're squeezing your face, you're not saying anything, the other person is looking at you, probably they don't even know that what they did is wrong or that what they did is making you angry. They'll just assume there is another thing that is doing you. Meanwhile, both of you are living in the same house for 1 week, you have not talked, all those kind of things is not necessary. Okay, so you need quality communication in your marriage. It makes life easier for both of you. Okay, another point I have is know when to close your mouth during an argument. Two mad people cannot coexist in the same place. Okay, so when there is an issue and you guys are having an argument, know when to close your mouth. Like, there will be a time where you will have to just, even if you have a lot to say, yes, you want to say plenty things, there will be times that you just have to close your mouth. Let your partner voice out everything they want to voice out. Let them let it out, so that later you go to them. Like, when they've calmed down, there are people that they will have to say everything they want to say before they will calm down. So whether you are the male or the female in the relationship, you have to know when to close your mouth and allow them, say whatever it is they want to say. If both of you keep shouting, nobody will hear what each other is saying, and you guys are not going to make a headway. So you need to know when to close your mouth during an argument and know when to talk. If you are having an argument now and both of you are screaming, if you decide to close your mouth and then your partner will say whatever it is they want to say, after saying everything they want to say, they will calm down, and maybe go and sit down or go and lie down. After a while, when everywhere is calm, that is when you now go to them and quietly explain to them what you were trying to say. That is the only way the both of you can understand each other. But if there's an argument and you're shouting, your partner is shouting, both of you are not hearing what you're saying, so there's no communication. That is the reason why you are arguing. You will still have that issue again, because both of you did not hear what you were saying when you were shouting. So know when to close your mouth during an argument and know when to talk during an argument. Okay, next thing is that whatever happens in your marriage is between you, your partner, and God. Between you, your partner, and God, not between your family members, not between your siblings, not between your online in-laws. The things that happen in your marriage has to stay between you, your partner, and God. I don't know, there's this current trend now that whenever you fall out with your spouse, you start sharing screenshots online. You go online and you narrate everything that happens. The people you're sharing this thing with don't care about you. They're just interested in carrying the gist. They're just interested in carrying the gossip. So why would you do that to yourself? And sometimes after having all these online quarrel, you go back to the marriage. Now people are now interested in every single detail that happens in your marriage. So it's not okay like that. Okay, so if you're having an issue, whatever it is that is going on is between you, your partner, and God. Like, you have to be careful not to overshare things. There are things that needs to remain within your home, things that needs to remain within you and your partner and God. There are things that you don't need to tell your parents, your siblings. Like, you both, the marriage is between two people. Marriage is between a man and a wife. And then God, the God factor is for God to, bless the marriage and all that. So you don't need to include other. You start calling everybody, all your relatives, your extended family. You even form WhatsApp group and start gisting them what your husband or your wife did to you. All those things are not necessary. If you're having issues with someone, your partner, you sit them down and talk to them. You married them, so you know that they're going to listen to you. So you need to sit down and talk to them, okay? You don't need to carry the issue out and everybody will know that you are having this particular issue in your marriage. It's not necessary. It's not okay, and it always has a side effect in the marriage, because if people start putting mouth in you people's issue in the marriage, it's going to be hard to maintain that marriage, because you will now start considering a lot of opinions that are not even necessary. Okay, so you need to maintain your marriage between you, your partner, and God. That's it. That's the only three people in the marriage: you, your partner, and God. My next point is you need to consider your partner when making decisions. When you were single, you could just up and wake up one day and make one kind decision, or spontaneously make a certain decision, and that will be okay with you because you are alone. You don't owe anybody any form of obligation. But when you get married, you owe your partner an obligation. Okay, so whatever decision, whatever it is you plan to do, you need to consider your partner when doing it. Taking myself as an example, when I was living alone, I could wake up and decide that, okay, today when I'm not going to cook in this house, I'm going to eat out all through, like morning, afternoon, night, and that will be okay because I live alone and I don't owe anybody any explanation as to why there's no food in the house. But right now that I'm married, it's my responsibility to make sure that there's food in the house. Whether I decide decide to cook it myself, or I decide to outsource, buy food outside, the important thing is when someone walks through that door and say they are hungry, I'm able to bring out food for them to eat. Okay, so you need to consider your partner when making decisions. If you're a guy and you decide that Friday night you're going to hang out with your boys, you can't just Friday night you just hang out with your boys. You will not tell your partner that you'll be coming home late. You just from your workplace you're going straight to the bar to go and hang out with the boys. Your partner is at home, waiting for you, panicking that maybe something has happened to you because you don't usually stay out that late. You need to consider your partner when doing things like that. Okay, I'm not saying you shouldn't hang out with your boys, but at least call your partner, tell them I'm going to come home late, or I'm going out with so and so person. It's also for your own security, because if anything happens to you, it's your partner that will start taking steps to trace what happened and all that. If you don't tell your partner that you're going to a certain place with so people, let's say for example you go out with maybe your friends, your partner doesn't even know that you went out with your friends. He or she doesn't know that the particular bar or the hotel you guys went to, and all of a sudden you end up in the hospital. If they are to start tracing what happened to you, where will he or she start? Because you didn't give them any kind of information. They didn't even know you were going out to hang out. They didn't know who you went with. They didn't know the bar you went to. So it's some kind of security. You need to consider your partner when making certain decisions. Okay, you don't just wake up, make a decision and stick to it without carrying your partner along. It's going to bring issues in your marriage. So you need to consider your partner when making decisions. Another thing I would like to say is, if you hear anything about your spouse outside, like people will always tell you that your spouse or your partner did this or did that, there are people that constantly want to give you a heads up if they see your partner doing one thing or the other. Before you take any action, you need to hear your partner's side of the story. You don't have to jump into conclusions. Maybe, for example, you hear that your partner did this or did that outside and you just believe it on the face of it. You need to come home, listen to your partner's side of the story, because it's actually heartbreaking when your partner, like someone you live with, is telling you this is what happened, but you prefer to believe what outsiders are saying. So whatever happens, you need to hear your partner's side of the story. Unless you married a chronic liar, which I don't know the reason why you should, or for some reason your partner is a horrible person, then that means you have a very serious problem. But if you married a good person, you really need to listen to their own side of the story. Whatever it is you hear about them, you need to listen to their own side of the story before you take any action. It helps a lot in marriage. Okay. So another thing I would like to say is, you have to know that no two marriages are the same. Your parents' marriage is not the same as your own marriage, because growing up there might be things that you see your parents do to each other that is not okay. So you now build up walls and then you carry it into your own marriage, and you start expecting your own marriage to turn out like that. So you're building walls, preparing strategically, preparing things to do when this kind of thing happens. It's not necessary. Okay, no two marriages are the same. Your parents' marriage is not the same as your marriage. Your own marriage is not the same as your siblings' marriage, or your sister's marriage, or your brother's marriage. So you need to know that no two marriages are the same. Another point I have is, you need to accept your spouse for who they are, not who you want them to be. Like before you got married, you were friends with them now, and you felt that you liked them enough to want to spend the rest of your life with them. So when you get married, don't start trying to now change them into who you want them to be. You knew who they were before you got married to them, and then you're now trying to change them after getting married to them. It doesn't make sense at all. You're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself and on the person you married. Okay, so you need to learn how to accept your partner. Except your partner is a terrible person, except your partner is a horrible person, then you have a more serious problem. But if you married a good person, you need to accept them, okay, with their flaws. Like everybody had their own flaws, so you need to accept them. You can talk to them about the things you don't like, and if they can change it for you. But if they can't, like, there are things that you can't change about a person. So you need to accept your partner for who they are. As long as it's both of you that decide to marry each other, you need to accept your partner. And finally, This one is very important. I don't even know if it's supposed to be the number one point, but for the marriage to work, both of you must want to be together for your marriage to work. What this means is one person cannot be living the single life while the other person is living like a married person. Okay, you both need to make an effort to stay married. It's very hurtful when one person is making an effort and the other person is just living their life. If you want to be single, stay single and enjoy your life, but don't go and marry someone else's child and be hurting them up and down. Okay, if you want to stay single, you stay single, but if you get married, you both need to make your marriage work by putting in the work. Whatever you put in the marriage is what stays in the marriage. One person cannot be putting and the other person removing. It's going to be really hard for both of you. So you both need to come together and decide that, okay, you want this marriage to work, and then you work towards it. If one person is working towards a better marriage and the other person is just living as if they are single, as if they've not yet gotten married, maybe they got married under pressure or whatever, it's going to be really hard for the other person, because at some point, when you keep giving and giving and giving, at some point you want to receive in return. If you don't have anything to receive, one day your own cup will get empty and you need a refill. But if your partner is a one kind person, like someone that is not even interested in making the marriage work, it's going to be really hard for you both, and you end up breaking apart or growing apart, or whichever one you want to do. But marriage is between two people that want to stay married. Marriage works when two people decide that they want to stay married to each other. Okay, so that'll be all for this video. Let me know other topics you want me to talk about on this channel. Give this video a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, your family, everybody. Leave your comments in the comment section. That'll be all for now. Bye.